I can hear the children crying. I can't breathe. Now I'm in the struggle and I can't leave. We're calling out the violence of these racist police. We ain't gonna stop till people are free. No, we ain't gonna stop till people are free. Yeah.
Why do Black Lives Matter? It's like, why does life matter? You know, like we're human beings, you know, we're people, we're Americans.
I think this issue is about a lack of empathy for the loss of Black lives.
It's about a country that has a 400-year head start on African Americans. And then you want to criticize and chastise because we have not, as a people, caught up.
It's almost like when you say the word or the phrase Black people or African American, it's like we're a different species all of a sudden. We're not actually human, and it's a little strange when I hear that, you know, that phrase and that question.
I came up in a household, I was raised in a household where I was told over and over and over constantly, Black is the thing to be. Why would you want to be anything else? I came up and was raised in a household where I was told that I was expected to be amazing.
Black lives matter. They matter. My son matters. I want my legacy to live on through me. That's why it matters. My father worked and wanted me to go to school to get an education, to have a better life than he did. I want generations beyond me to have a better life, a better education, more opportunities than I had. And that's how you grow, and that's how the race will progress. That's how the nation and the country will become better.
We need to admit what the bigger problem is, and that's fear.
I was driving back at the time with my girlfriend, and everything was going fine until we saw a police car in the back of our rearview mirror. And so we were driving up, and then out of nowhere, it kind of sped up and went around. So I'm thinking it's gonna go chase another person. But instead, the cop did a U-turn, hooked around and cut us off. So at this point in time, I don't know what's going on. I'm looking at my girlfriend, she's looking back at me, and we're both kind of confused. Then all of a sudden we hear over the bullhorn, he yells out at me and says, "Stop the car, put it in park, and throw the keys out the window."
I worked in Chicago as a police officer for 6 years. So I understand exactly what the inherent dangers are with a job in law enforcement. I get that completely. I completely understand it. And you should want to go home the exact same way that you started your shift. I get that. But at the same time, most white police officers will approach young Black men in urban areas and make immediate assumptions about who these young men are.
So after I do that, at this point his gun's drawn, so my girlfriend's basically shaking. Then he gets in the car and he calls for backup. So little do we know, I turn around and now there's 6 SWAT cars all surrounding us in the middle of an intersection.
They don't see them as somebody's son. They don't see them as students. They see them as gangbangers, thugs, weed smokers. I just got a description over the air. I'm looking for a young Black man wearing a hood, saggy jeans, Jordans.
And then the cop walks up to my car and then he starts laughing. And at this point I can't even face him. And then next thing you know, he kind of says, "Sorry, it was a mistake. We thought that you had a different license plate and you kind of fit the description."
What we're really battling is trying to figure out how to make white folks not afraid of Black men.
I think the marches are great. I was at the march in Hollywood, and I saw in the eyes of the people who were walking down, the tourists, people from all over the world who came to see Hollywood, were surprised by what they found. And I could connect with them. I saw people bring their children, kids, you know, white kids, Black kids, Hispanic kids.
It's not about just their ethnicity. They care about what's right and what's wrong. And that's why you see so many different colors and creeds of people in the protest.
I think we need to tell the stories of these people so we can see their faces, we can hear their stories, we can relate to what they're doing, and we can suffer with them. And I think when we start to suffer with them, we'll start to transform the minds and the imaginations of people.
These protests are important because they bring awareness. But awareness, in my opinion, does not equal change. Awareness plus action equals change.
We're up in arms and outraged when we are perceived as trifling, lazy, uneducated. We don't want to work. All we want to do is smoke weed and make babies. But we give them ammunition to say those things when in protest around a gross injustice, we want to break in Foot Locker and steal shoes. We want to go into Sprint and Verizon and steal cell phones that we can't even activate.
But if you look at a certain class of people or people from a certain background, you don't see them as fully human, then you see these kind of, bad reactions as, maybe they're taking advantage or maybe they're just bad people. But I think they're hurting. I think that there's pain there. There's just not a good way for them to express themselves.
And violence and protest where property is destroyed is directly attributed to a people who believe that they are completely disenfranchised, not part of the system, and their plight is unnoticed and their voices are unheard.
Think if everybody that was out on the streets protesting decided was like, okay, we're gonna vote in our local elections. And we're gonna have these protests, these are gonna become community summits where we're gonna talk about the issues in our communities. And we're gonna talk about proposals and game plans and actual mission statements for what needs to change. And we're gonna submit these to our politicians. We're gonna submit these to the person that's actually running for this council position. And if that's their platform, that's the person we vote for. And all these thousands of people on the streets, when voting day comes, they go to the polls and vote, and that person gets elected.
It is not okay to sit on your couch and watch this happen.
We need to move like there's no time left.
Every positive movement that we make informs the next step we can take and enriches and revitalizes and inspires someone to take it even further.
We have a lot of people who have ascended to a level that they could make change and affect change and create that and be the catalyst. But for some reason or another, whether it be to assimilate or just to not ruffle any feathers, they've chosen not to speak out and not to take that charge.
We have to take accountability for what we bring to this.
We gotta figure out a way to remain engaged, to remain active, and leaders will emerge, different strategies will emerge, but the opposition wants us to get bored with it.
You have a responsibility as a human being, as a member on this earth, to contribute whatever you have inside of you to what is right, to what is just, and to what moves people forward.
I do think that it's important for everyone to kind of embrace their own talents and figure out exactly their biggest strengths and figure out what works for them.
Because we really don't know what's gonna work. You just have to keep going. You gotta keep loving everybody. You gotta keep talking about it. You gotta keep bringing it up at work. You gotta keep wearing your t-shirts. You gotta do all those things until something sticks. And I think that's the most important.